The soul is really the primary energy source that uses other energy bodies throughout the universe, throughout this multidimensional universe. We exist on every level of reality, and we need a different energy body to function in that. And in a way, for instance, our astral body is a step-down energy from the soul to the physical. And when most people leave their bodies, they experience their astral body, because it's the next vibrational level of reality.
Okay, what happens to the astral body upon death? And then the soul, obviously, we know about that.
Well, most people at death, based on my experiences, actually end up on the astral plane. And most of the religious heavens that exist today are actually on the astral plane, the various levels. The
Always
astral plane,
were.
by the way, is not one place. It's countless thousands of realities. And what people at death, we just transfer our awareness from the dense body of the matter to our higher vibrational body, which commonly today is called the astral body.
This is fascinating to me, because with this knowledge, you can do some incredible things on these various planes or levels of existence, can't you?
You can discover the answers for yourself. That's the most incredible thing. You don't have to. No longer do you have to rely on 2,000-year-old faith and speculation. You can go and discover reality for yourself. I have received, thousands of letters from people who have talked to passed on loved ones, had communication with pets that have died. There's no end to it. I've personally communicated with my mother and my uncle who have passed on. I mean, I'm talking face-to-face. We're not talking some psychic interconnection.
Right.
We're talking, it's mind-blowing. And by the way, when people die, every time I've interacted with one, they assume they're a younger version of themselves.
Why do they do that, William?
Because the astral body is like a Jell-O mold, and whatever you hold as your self-concept is what you become on the astral plane, which becomes extremely fascinating and exciting when you are there and you begin to experiment, because you can actually change your form. But most people don't really know this. Anyway, the people that live that are passed on generally become a younger version. In other words, they'll be in their prime. My mother died at age 73, but she looked like she was 25 when I met her. And my uncle,
looks like those pictures that you saw when they were young.
It really does.
Yeah.
I mean, it's and because that's, let's face it, that's our. I'm 57, but I still think of myself as being 30. That's just the way it is. But in other words, our mind creates our reality. Our mind molds the energy. The astral material is much more subtle and thought responsive than matter. So it molds to our thoughts much faster than matter. The same process is working here on the physical world. It's just taking far longer because of the density.
Well, these various levels then of existence, is that where you can tap into intuitiveness? Is that where deja vu occurs in areas like that?
Absolutely. That's how people connect. As you go further inward, and remember, the physical world is the epidermis layer of the universe, a dense, thin outer layer. It's actually a very small fraction of reality. And as you have an out-of-body experience, you're moving inward within the substructure of the universe. The astral plane is the substructure of matter. And as you go progressively in, you tap into your own natural abilities. All the things that we consider psychic or natural abilities, precognition, deja vu, all these things are these are natural abilities we all possess. And as we go inward and connect to our true self, or what I call our higher self, we tap into our own natural abilities, and we begin to broaden those abilities and even embrace them more in our physical life.
If one simply meditates, you sit down, you relax, and you meditate, and you increase your psychic powers, your awareness, is that also a form of out-of-body experience, even though you may not think you're out of the body? Aren't you still doing that generally?
Well, meditation is not necessarily out of body. I don't want to paint a broad brush here. There is a sense of going inward, and there are such things of having out of body experiences while in the body. In other words, it doesn't mean you have to move beyond the confines of your body to be in that altered state.
Right.
You can transfer your awareness. So yes, that is possible, and of course that's what the Buddhist monks have been famous for doing for hundreds of years. They move within their body. By the way, Buddhist monks are also quite famous for astral projection. There's a lot of literature about this. I live in, as you know, I'm living in China, and I had an opportunity to talk to many of them in the last 4 years. And it's a reality. That's part of their that's secret training, so to speak. They don't talk about it to the general public.
When you see a Buddhist monk in a meditated state, maybe his eyes are closed, he's not moving, might he already be out of his body?
Absolutely. There was a classic one just recently about the boy who meditated in the under the tree.
Yeah, the Buddha boy, right?
Yeah, the Buddha boy. And now, that's what always gets me. Do you really think that he was? I forget how many. He's been there for now. He's left that area and disappeared.
Well, now
he
also
meditated for over a year.
William, I had a story last week that somebody found him. Now he wants to meditate underground. He wants to be buried alive while he meditates. I mean, bizarre.
Exactly. It sounds bizarre, but that's because more than likely he's not in that body. He doesn't feel himself confined. See, we have we're so conditioned in our society to equate dense matter with reality that we can't perceive of someone actually exiting their body. But see, for in other cultures, that's exactly what many of these people are doing. Like all of these people that have been famous for meditating for long periods of time, that's because they're exiting their body. They have freedom. For them, it is freedom. It's not confinement. It's not boring because they're moving around. They're probably, in many ways, the Buddha boy is probably, now again, I'm just speculating, but he's probably moving around the astral plane while his body's meditating.
What are the possibilities if, while you're out in the astral plane, your physical body ceases to live for whatever reason? Let's say it has a heart attack. Can you get back, or is that it for you?
Well, just like as soon as if your body's dead, you would definitely go to the level that you're comfortable with.
Okay.
Just like we all would. Another, if you're bound to form-based realities, you would go to most people would middle part of the astral plane. And I hate using that term astral plane. In my books, I try not to use it at all, but I know that listeners can relate to it. I call it there's multiple energy dimensions. I refer to these as dimensions. But just to clarify, I just want to clarify that fact because I hate the term astral plane because I don't believe this is not some kind of occult thing. This is the nature of reality. Quantum physics is talking about 21 dimensions right now.
Well, I was going to say, are these other dimensions what physicists might call other universes, the multiverse?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the big debate and the current debate is just how many dimensions is there? I mean, that's what's funny. The consensus now seems to be 21, but that will change.
William, when we come back, I want to ask you about some of the benefits of OBEs. And, we had mentioned earlier that a lot of people have misinterpreted alien abductions when actually they're OBEs. Let's talk about that because we've got a lot of people who believe they have been abducted. Your website, outofbody.com, but you've got a couple dashes there between the out of and the body, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And also astralinfo.org.
Very good. All of those linked up at coasttocoastam.com. We'll be back in a moment with William Buhlman on Coast to Coast AM. William, what are the benefits, do you think, that we all would get with OBE experiences?
Well, the number one benefit that most people report or answers, I think that for me is the most important thing. I mean, we live in a society